and welcome to another episode of Social Strategy Simplified with Sue, where we break down the social media strategies of top industry professionals who are gaining extraordinary reach and ROI on their social media content creation efforts while actually creating less. So I'm going to use the hub and spoke content framework to demonstrate how you too can implement these solutions into your business. And even if you are not in the industry of the person being represented in a given week, remember that these strategies are universal, so these models can be applied to any business. So tune in whether or not you are a financial analyst like this week's victim, Chris Browning. So if you're here with me live, give me a hashtag live in the comments. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. And if you want to be alerted whenever I go live, give me a hashtag me in the comments, and I will let you know so you don't miss another episode. So let's go ahead and dive back in. Yesterday, we started off going over Chris Browning's website, Chris Browning of Popcorn Finance, where we discuss finance in about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. And I did not mean to click that link. There we go. Let's take it back. So we identified the little thing I am covering right now. We'll scroll that up, that Chris's hub content focus is his podcast. We know that from the AirPods, the phone, the click here to listen. He's got some great social proof, and then down below that we see him highlighting his podcast itself, and over on the right where you can find all of them. So really his hub is his podcast and the creation of this content. So we also noted briefly how he does show that he has a few social channels featured here, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But today what we're actually going to focus on is how he smartly uses YouTube to repurpose his podcast content in a couple of ways. That's very easy to do. So we noted that he only shows these 3 channels, but we do see up at the top here, if I move this guy around ever so slightly, there it is. He does have a little YouTube button up there to the right. So now I don't know if not having YouTube featured is by design or if it's just a missed opportunity. He does also have it right here, as you can see over his lovely image where he has his little bio and drives us to the podcast. So a few things there, but we can see that he has his Popcorn Finance. Here's just a sneak peek on Apple. He's got it on Spotify. He's got it on Stitcher. He's got it all over the place in ways like most podcasters do, that they have multiple placements of the podcast so they can meet their audience on their podcast destination of choice. Now, the way that Chris is smartly reusing and repurposing content, we see on his YouTube channel. So just like we noted on his website, you can see here that he, again, in his channel art, his branding for Popcorn Finance, and on the bottom right, he has chosen to specifically only drive traffic to that podcast. So we can see this spoke that comes off of the content he creates, driving traffic back to the hub, which is that podcast. So if you don't know this, in your channel header on YouTube, you can have several, I believe it's up to 3, other links that you can take people back to another social channel, to a website, to a podcast, and he's chosen to use just the one. So that's a real key indicator too, that that podcast is his primary driver of traffic, his hub place, his hub destination on the web, as well as his hub content. So when we come down on the YouTube channel, we can see he's got this great intro video that is his channel trailer that he recently updated. Let's just take a quick tune in.
Hey, my name is Chris, and I'm the host of the Popcorn Finance Podcast. And if you're not familiar with the show, what it is a short-form podcast where I discuss finance in about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn.
So real quick intro, you get his name, what he does, what the focus on this podcast is, and then you can see down below where he has his videos. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch myself on up here so we can see these videos. So he's got a couple of things going on here. He has the primary Popcorn Finance podcast, uploaded as videos. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, he also has a second podcast called This Is Awkward. And the thing is, again, as I offer up these ideas and strategies, as Chris has demonstrated, these are things that you too can do. But you don't have to come out of the gate with 2 podcasts. But keep in mind that if you have different ideas, once you set a system and a structure up that makes it a repeatable process, you can easily create a different podcast under a different branding. So it's just a matter of how often you use that process and what different directions you might take. So for Chris, he has Popcorn Finance, which is his quick clips that he does himself. And then This Is Awkward is another podcast that he does in partnership with somebody else. So the 2 opportunities he has on YouTube here are twofold, and he does these in 2 different ways. So as we saw in our first demonstration of our first week with lawyer Emily Baker, she video records herself doing the podcast so that on YouTube you see her talking in her environment, as well as she then takes that audio and creates a podcast with it. Chris is doing the opposite with Popcorn Finance, right? So what he does is he does his podcast, and then he actually just places this, he puts some visual media on it and places it onto YouTube. So let's take a peek at this one. Get the pay you deserve. We've got the intro. So you can see it's a short 13-minute video, but what happens if we
I don't appreciate the job offer. So
continue on 2 minutes in?
It's a great thing to do anyway because
it is a graphic overlay that he uses so that he can take the audio from his podcast and place it on YouTube. So some people might say, why would you do that? Well, if YouTube is a secondary social media channel for you, it is a great opportunity to make sure that your content is showing up on the world's second largest search engine, right? So people are asking about these topics. People are searching Google and YouTube for things around what Chris discusses, and he's done it in a way that really simplifies it for an audience seeking to be educated. And that audience seeking to be educated is searching on YouTube. So this is a great way to take a piece of audio content, turn it into a video file by getting a Canva or graphic design that you place into your video editor, and then you can export it as video. Again, why? Well, like I said, people are searching for it, so this is a great opportunity for Chris to get some good search engine optimization with, strong titles, descriptions, tags, placing his other social media channels where we can find him across the digital landscape so that you can see this. And now, he doesn't have a ton of views on this yet, but he just uploaded this. So this is a secondary opportunity to take content you have already created, place it into the format that meets the need of that channel, and hopefully leverage that opportunity to get some more visibility on your content and drive traffic back to the place that you have your primary. So this is playing again here. So now we have the second method. The second method he does is similar to what Emily did in our first example, and that is this one when he broadcasts to create the This Is Awkward podcast. He goes live, and then he does have a live recording with him partnering in this discussion. So he uses both models, which is really smart. He can then start to see some audience tracking, great methods for audience research to identify how people are finding each of these different podcast video formats on his YouTube channel. Are they searching? What keywords are they searching? And a great opportunity to interact with people in the comments. And the people he does the partnered podcast with, the interview version, this is another opportunity then for those people to also be sharing, which generates more visibility for both people who are participating in that podcast interview. So this is a great model that we've just started off with in looking at how Chris takes his podcast, turns that content into video content that then lives on YouTube in a way that allows for great search engine optimization audience research, seeing what people are looking for, and the opportunity to drive people back to his primary hub, which is his podcast. So I hope this has given you some ideas. If you have any questions on anything that you've seen here, feel free to drop them in the comments. And if it's something you would like to create and are wondering how you might make that happen for yourself, drop me a note or feel free to message me in whichever channel you are on, the private messenger option that's available to you here. So if you have any questions, or perhaps you know somebody who is doing great things in social media and you'd like to see that broken down, I'm always looking for nominations for my next victim. So please let me know. If you're going to join me tomorrow, if you'd like me to notify you, give me a hashtag me in the comments and I'll let you know. And I will see you for Spoke number 2 on day 3 of Chris Browning. See you then.